So whole life insurance, it's a type of life insurance coverage that most people don't really need. You see all these people talking about get whole life insurance, do this, do that. No, a lot of people don't need whole life insurance. It's much more expensive than term life insurance, and as a term policy remains in effect only for a set period of time, that's why it's cheaper. But a permanent or whole life policy, it remains in effect until you die, indefinitely. Now, most people don't need life insurance forever, as their dependents eventually stop relying on them to earn money. In that case, paying extra premiums to keep coverage active for a person's whole life, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. That's just, like, why would you do that? But there's an exception to this general rule. People who are wealthy, they might want to buy that whole life policy. You might be thinking, well, why? Why would they want to pay for something that's more expensive for no reason? Or there's a reason. We're going to talk about that. Let's start off with the benefit of a whole life policy. So, for a lot of wealthy people, rich people, it's going to make sense to purchase whole life insurance because this kind of policy can provide a death benefit to people that you're leaving it to, your beneficiary, that tax free. And this money can be used to pay estate or inheritance tax. So that way other estate assets don't have to be liquidated to cover that cost. And then on the federal level, there is an estate tax charged on much larger estates. The estate itself pays this tax, but some states also impose their own inheritance taxes on heirs and or estate taxes on the estate as well. Now, the tax bill on larger estates can be really, really big. And if there's not enough, liquid assets in the estate, then they start selling stuff in the estate, even the property itself, to cover the costs. Let's look at an example here. So let's say a wealthy person leaves a large home to a loved one that's valued at several $1,000,000 alongside other transferred assets. If estate taxes or inheritance taxes have to be paid, the bill could run to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then if even further, there isn't other money in the estate that could be used to pay those taxes, then surviving family members might have to sell the home or get a new mortgage on it to get the money to pay the taxes that are due. Now, a whole life policy could provide access to a source of funds that is very liquid, and that can be used to just to cover required tax costs. When the insurer cuts a check for the death benefit, the money can be used to pay the estate tax or inheritance taxes, ensuring no other assets need to be sold. That way, everything that is being inherited or given, it remains intact. The whole estate gets to remain intact. Now, since the need to avoid a big tax bill will most likely not ever go away, I mean, if anything, it might actually be getting worse, right? But for wealthy people, this isn't going away with substantial assets, right? A death benefit, it's always going to be needed to try to cover those taxes. Now, this means a term life policy that offers protection only for a limited number of years. It's not the best choice for these people. It's the best choice for your average person, but not for most people. Now, permanent life insurance that's always there to pay the tax bill, that's what these people want. Now, the average person, we're going to want term life insurance. But if you're a fairly wealthy individual, permanent life insurance is definitely the way to go. So, is it a smart idea? Is buying, a whole life policy smart? But here's the thing: there's so many different estate planning techniques wealthy people can use to try to minimize their taxes and keep everything intact. Right? Buying a whole life policy, it's just one of the different approaches a person could use to shield their wealth from the government. Right? You're trying to keep as much as you can so that you can hand it down. And, it's just so hard because these wealthy people, a lot of people see these wealthy people and they're like, hey, you have so much, you need to give a lot of it up, And then most people are like, well, I worked really hard for this. Why should I have to go? And there's both sides of the same coin, and everyone has their opinion. So, there's no real. I don't think there's no way to please both sides. But since it's simple and easy, and since premiums on a whole life policy should be affordable for those with those higher incomes, I mean, buying a whole life insurance plan, it's worth looking into, right? That way, the premiums are higher, but when you go and your estate gets passed on, that death benefit pays all the taxes, right? Don't have to worry about nothing. It just everything gets handed down. You're good to go. So, what are we going to take away from all this? What understanding do we need? So, life insurance, it can be a useful financial tool for, let's say, the wealthy, individuals with high net worth, or even business owners. Now, it can also be used as well for people who haven't really accumulated as many assets. But again, it's a small minority of people, right? We're really trying to focus on whole life insurance being for, because it's more expensive, right? The average person doesn't want whole life insurance. Now, you may purchase several permanent life insurance policies, but you'll need to meet the underwriting and medical requirements. Life insurance policies are not counted as part of an estate and are not taxed by the federal government. So you don't have to worry about that. That death benefit when that person passes, that death benefit that gets paid out, right? That's tax-free money. You don't have to worry about it. It goes straight to your beneficiary. They get all of it, and they pay everything they need to pay. And then a life insurance policy can be sold for its cash value, or you can borrow against its accumulated cash value during your lifetime. Now, this is another video where it's universal banking. Now, we've done a video about that. Well, basically, you have a whole life insurance policy that you pay into, and it builds up cash value, and you can borrow the money from that policy to pay for things instead of taking out a loan, right? So that's another way that wealthy people use whole life insurance. That's why we were talking about earlier for business owners, right? People will have a whole life insurance policy, and they'll take out money to buy a business, to expand their business, stuff like that. Don't need a loan. So hopefully, you kind of take away from this that if you're just the average person, just a normal person, you don't really need whole life insurance, right? You don't need the double, triple, or quadruple the premium on insurance. Just get term life insurance. You'll be just fine. Wealthy people, worth, I would say, at least have, a couple $100,000 worth in, wealth built up, whatever assets that might be, real estate, stocks, whatever. Look into it. So hopefully this is some good information for you, put you in the right direction, get you thinking about what you need to think about. And if you like the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, man, what are you waiting on? Come on. It's free. Just hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate it, right? It's easy. It's free. Come on. But till I see you guys in the next one, y'all be safe.